Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic on Vedic astrology. And today we will be talking about the planet Ketu and its associated gemstone cat's eye, and how Ketu came into existence. I'm not going to go into detail into that. We all know that there was a demon called Swarabhanu who actually, while the ocean was being churned and goodies were coming out, and one of the goodies, or one of the treasures which came out of the ocean, was Amrita, or the nectar of immortality. And the gods and demons were both waiting for that treasure to come out while they were churning the ocean. And somehow the demons got a hold of that, and they ran, and the gods followed the demons, because whoever drank the nectar of immortality, or Amrita as it's called in Sanskrit, would become immortal and would become invincible, undefeatable. So both the gods and demons wanted to have this Amrita to themselves, and the demons ran and they got a hold of this pot which came out from the ocean. And the demons followed them, and then there was a war between the gods and the demons, and the war was getting nowhere. So Mohini appeared, who was actually Lord Vishnu, and Mohini tricked the demons by making them agree to the condition that she will distribute the Amrita, or the nectar of immortality, equally between the gods and the demons. And the demons agreed, and they were not given the nectar of immortality. Instead, they were given alcohol, and the gods were given the Amrita, or the nectar of immortality, because God was on the side of the Vishnu was on the side of Devatas, or the gods. Vishnu is, of course, God, the supreme God, so as to say. So he tricked the demons by appearing in the form of Mohini, the beautiful Mohini, who had hypnotic powers to hypnotize beings with her beauty. So this was a short recap, and then one of the demons understood that it was Vishnu who was disguised as Mohini, and he disguised himself as a god. That demon Swarabhanu disguised himself as a god. He went and sat along with the gods where they were being given the Amrita, or the nectar of immortality, and Swarabhanu got the nectar of immortality, and he became immortal just like the gods. But then Sun and Moon, who were sitting in between the other gods, they recognized that this person is a demon, not a god, and they alerted Lord Vishnu, or Mohini rather, who was actually Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu appeared in his form. He cut the head off from Swarabhanu's body. The head was thrown in one direction, and the body was thrown in the opposite direction, and that's why Rahu and Ketu are placed opposite to each other, 180 degrees. The head started to be known as Rahu, and the body started to be known as Ketu. And this is how Rahu and Ketu came into existence. So today, this was a quick recap. If you want to go into details, please refer to my earlier videos. And today we'll be talking about what Ketu is, and what's its associated gemstone, and how you can use the power of Ketu's gemstone to enhance your luck, so as to say, or to enhance yourself, and what Ketu stands for. So Ketu, which came into existence, like I just quickly told you the story, is a malefic planet, because it's a part of a demon's body. However, at the same time, it's a mokshakaraka as well, meaning which it can relieve you, or it can have you end your cycle of birth and rebirth, which is actually moksha, and then you're free and you get united with God. And that's what all Hindus aspire for. That's the final goal. There are four major goals of Hinduism, as per Hinduism, which is Artha, which is Dharma comes first, and then there's Artha, and then there is Kama, and then there's a Moksha. So Moksha is the final destination, and people who want to understand more on this, please refer to my earlier videos. So Ketu has been described as a Moksha Karaka as per Hindu scriptures. It is a headless planet because the head is, of course, Rahu, and its Rahu is placed completely opposite, and that was God's plan, to make sure that the head does not unite with the body. So that's why, Rahu and Ketu are 180 degrees apart. And it is equally malefic as Rahu, although some astrologers feel that Ketu is not as malefic as Rahu, and that's the reason why it actually is described as a cause of liberation, or a moksha karaka. But yes, Rahu does believe in spiritual pursuits, as opposed to, Ketu does believe in spiritual pursuits as opposed to Rahu, which is more attracted to materialistic accomplishments or achievements. So because of its spiritual tendencies, it is kind of non-attached. So one of the things you can see in people with a strong Ketu is that generally they are non-attached, and they have the power to understand that this world is Maya, it's illusion. So although it's malefic and it's a demon, it's still, its goal is towards spiritual enlightenment and then final liberation, which is called moksha in Sanskrit. And because of this tendency, it gives extremely strong psychic abilities to people with a strong Ketu. So Ketu stands for psychic abilities. Some of the best tantrics, along with Rahu, and Rahu is about more of course, Rahu is also about tantric mantras and tantric processes, but on a materialistic level. And Ketu is also about tantric practices, but on a spiritual level. So what it does is, it kind of does the reverse of what Rahu does. Rahu creates that poison, and Ketu cuts that poison through its own poison. So as we know that iron cuts iron and poison cuts poison. And what it does is, because of its strong abilities, psychic abilities, and the power of Tantra and the spiritualism, which is on a tamasic scale, it's not a sattvic planet, and people who are not aware with this sattvic and tamasic difference, please refer to my earlier videos. It is tamasic. It is, however, along with being a tamasic, because it's a demon, it has spiritual capabilities, psychic capabilities, and it can actually heal. So it's very unlike Rahu. Rahu is not a healer. Ketu is more of a healer, so it can heal people who are possessed by evil spirits, ghosts, and tantric attacks. And of course, since Rahu and Ketu both are shadow planets, they can also merge with the crowd without being noticed, as we have seen how they got the nectar of immortality from even God, Lord Vishnu. They had the capability to fool, and that's why they got this image of being shadow planets. They don't have a body. So as far as the behavior is concerned, the effects of Ketu are similar to that of Mars, as we've already discussed. Ketu behaves like Mars, and Rahu behaves like Saturn, based on a little principle we have in Vedic astrology. Shani with Rahu and Kuja with Ketu, which is Saturn behaves like Rahu and Ketu behaves like Mars. So that's a slight difference here. So it has the intensity, it has the power, it has the energy of Mars, and that's how it behaves, and along with having psychic and spiritual capabilities. So people with a bad Ketu, they are affected mostly in the areas of physical strength, and it gives them, with a good Ketu, gives them good physical strength, because it behaves like Mars. Just like Mars, it has strong energy. It gives them a lot of stamina if the Ketu is well placed in somebody's birth chart, and it just behaves the opposite if it's not well placed, if it's giving bad results. It can give a lot of happiness and wealth if Ketu is well placed in somebody's chart, and it takes away happiness and wealth in case Ketu is not well placed in somebody's birth chart. It gives the joy of children. It gives the happiness from having children, or progeny, as you may call it, in case Ketu is well placed. And in case Ketu is badly placed, because it's a snake planet, it gives problems in the areas of progeny and children, so on and so forth. Injuries from weapons, just like Mars, because it behaves like Mars, and if Mars is badly placed in somebody's chart, it can give injuries from weapons. Similar is the case with Ketu, but with a lot more intensity as compared to Mars. So from weapons, and it makes its presence very strongly in times of wars, and in wars there are weapons, there are injuries. So Mars and Ketu both are, and you'll see strong Ketu and strong Mars both. It could be either strong Ketu or strong Mars in the birth charts of known generals of the army or police officials, so on and so forth, because it's all about weapons and aggressiveness and strength. But the difference here between Mars and Ketu is that Ketu is spiritual, and it's psychic, and because its pursuit, the ultimate pursuit of Ketu is, it has understood, it has already accomplished its materialistic desires through Rahu. So the Ketu part is going towards spiritual pursuits and final liberation and moksha, so as to say. So these are the problems which a person can have if it's a badly placed Ketu, and similarly those areas which I've just discussed can give good effects if Ketu is well placed. So Ketu is a very important planet, and the gemstone of Ketu has been described as cat's eye, which you can see on the screen here. Now, in ancient days, real ancient days, where astrology actually began through the Saptarishis, so as to say, like sage Bhrigu, and who brought in the Nadi astrology, and sage Parashara, and sage Atri, and sage Jaimini, and sage Gautam. Those days and ages, they didn't believe in using gemstones for remedial measures to take care of problems caused by planets. And however, I've already explained in my earlier videos as well that recent astrologers or Vedic scholars, until about 1,000 to 1,500 years, 1,500 years, they have come to experiment with gemstones, and they have been pretty successful in removing some of the problems caused by planets through the use of gemstones, and also enhance the power of planets through gemstones if it's well placed in somebody's birth chart. But this is a very tricky area, and some astrologers all use different ways and methods and tools to determine whether a particular gemstone is going to be suitable for them or not. Some astrologers use the ascendant, based on which they determine whether a gemstone is going to be suitable or not. Some determine based on where it's placed. Some determine based on the dispositor, especially when Rahu and Ketu gemstones are involved. Some base their determination of whether a gemstone would be suitable to a person or not based on the moon chart, or where the moon is placed based on the moon lagna. Some make their recommendations based on the sun lagna, or where sun is placed. Some go by the nakshatras as to where moon was placed, at the time of somebody's birth, and based on what the lordship of that nakshatra is, they recommend gemstones. But yes, it has become very popular in recent times, like I said, until about 1,500 years or 1,500 years or so, where astrologers have actually concluded that yes, gemstones can be used very effectively for Vedic astrology purposes. So how to determine, you have to go to a good Vedic astrologer. Please do not experiment it yourself, and especially gemstones like cat's eye and hezonite garnet, who are actually connected with Ketu and Rahu, and today we're talking about cat's eye. Please don't go and experiment, because if it does not suit you, it can give you problems in all these areas which we've just discussed, in your psychic abilities, in your spiritual knowledge, in your strength, in your stamina, in your happiness, or related to progeny. It can all give you reverse or negative effects if you start using a cat's eye, which is not supposed to be worn by you. So please check with a qualified Vedic astrologer before trying to experiment it. The size of a good cat's eye generally should be about 5 to 7 carats, but smaller sizes can also be used, because there are different kinds of cat's eyes. There's one cat's eye which is a chrysoberyl category, which is the best, and that cat's eye comes from Sri Lanka, and that's it's called Kanaketh cat's eye. It's very, very expensive, and a good color is greenish or honey color. Honey is actually the best color for a good cat's eye, and they say that a honey milk combination is the best combination. Milk means that little streak of light, that little line which you see on that gemstone, that if that is of milk color and the gemstone is of honey color, or sometimes greenish honey color, that's supposed to be the best. And like I said, it's chrysoberyl quality that comes from Sri Lanka. That's where the best chrysoberyl gemstones of cat's eye, chrysoberyl cat's eye, not other chrysoberyls, but chrysoberyl cat's eye, that's where they're found. And they are normally, they're not faceted stone. They are like cabochons, that's what you say, which are not faceted. So you will not see a faceted cat's eye, so as to say. So it also appears, cat's eye also appears in India, in parts of Orissa, and of course in other parts of the world as well. But like I said, go for a good cat's eye from Sri Lanka. That's the best. And a cat's eye should be bought on either a Wednesday or a Thursday. So Thursday is more related with the cat's eye, because Ketu gets exalted in Sagittarius, and that's ruled by the planet Jupiter. According to some astrologers, Ketu gets exalted in Scorpio as well. So you can even buy a cat's eye on a Tuesday, and if you cannot buy and get it set on either a Thursday or a Tuesday, like I said, some astrologers say Wednesday, but I don't think Wednesday has a great connection with cat's eye. Or a Saturday. Saturday is also not bad for a cat's eye. It's neutral. But more prominently, Thursday is the best day. So try, and if you cannot buy it on a Thursday, at least get it set and wear it on a Thursday. And generally you will see that people who wear a cat's eye, they will be wearing it during nighttime, because this is a Rakshasa, it's a demon. Ketu is a demon. So you should not wear it during days. Try to avoid it wearing in the days, sometime after 9 o'clock at night, and it should be worn after after washing it in unboiled milk and then cleaning it with water, or if you have Ganges water, try to wash it with Ganges water. That's the best. So if it's, like I said, if it's badly placed, some astrologers use the principle of Anukula and some astrologers use the principle of Pratikula. So if it's badly placed, cat's eye can remove the bad effects of Ketu. If Ketu is badly placed, cat's eye can remove the bad effects of Ketu. That's one principle on which astrologers work. However, there's another school of thought where they say that if it's well placed, you should strengthen it even further to enhance its power to get luck, or enhance your luck in the areas which we just mentioned about. And like I said, Ketu gets exalted in Sagittarius, and according to some astrologers and some texts, it gets exalted in Scorpio as well. And Ketu's sign is Pisces, meaning which it has been given a sign Pisces. So when Ketu is placed in its own sign, it would be sitting in Pisces, and that's when it's considered to be sitting in its own sign. So things to watch is that if you're buying a good cat's eye, it should not be dull. It should be very, very brilliant, and it should have luster and should be shining. And avoid any cracks in the gemstones, avoid any major inclusions in the gemstones, avoid any inclusions, especially red color, very, very bad in terms of progeny issues. So if you wear a cat's eye which has a red inclusion, just avoid it, because it may give you problems related to your progeny. And some astrologers even say that a black inclusion is even worse, because it can even bring death if it does not suit you. So be very careful. The shape should be even, the surface should be smooth, and the main thing is, look at that bright line, that shiny line which appears on the gemstones, as you can see on the screen. Now, how to test whether you're buying a real cat's eye or not? And there are different beliefs. When there were no laboratories available, that some people said, well, if you place a real cat's eye on a bone for more than 24 hours, it'll make a hole in the bone. But don't go into these ancient beliefs, because now you have the availability, and you have laboratories who can test a real cat's eye for you. There are all kinds of cat's eye on the internet, on various e-commerce websites, so as to say. Just don't go out and buy it from any e-commerce website, because it has to be accompanied by a certificate from a laboratory. You can actually make a plastic cat's eye look so real that it'll be very difficult to differentiate it from a real cat's eye if you just look at it from your naked eye. So be very, very very careful, and be very, very careful about that streak of light, that line. That should be very powerful and very strong and very shiny to make it effective. And like I said, 5 to 7 carats is a good size, but even if it's lower, if it's good quality, transparent, right color, right line, that streak of light, then you're good, I would say. So hopefully you did enjoy this video, and in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I'll see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology very soon. Goodbye.